Hello and welcome to another video about GPhoto2Server. Today I want to show you how to install from scratch GPhoto2Server on an SD card, and we'll have a Raspberry Pi here, which I will put the SD card in, and then we have a power brick. I will connect the Raspberry Pi to the power brick and have a GPhoto2Server running there, connect the camera to it, and we'll configure the Raspberry Pi to work as a Wi-Fi access point, basically. Or, well, not exactly an access point, because we're not going to bother with having a support of plugging in the Ethernet cable into Raspberry Pi and sharing internet from Ethernet cable into Wi-Fi, but it will be accessible over Wi-Fi, so we could connect to it via smartphone, so we would be able to control our camera just like that, and we will have GPhoto2Server automatically start up when the Raspberry Pi is powered on. So whenever you cycle the power off and on, the GPhoto2Server will start up, and if GPhoto2Server happens to crash, which is possible because the libgphoto2 that it uses is a native library, and it might crash if you do something with say unplug your camera in the middle of certain operation. It might even crash. So the thing is, we will make it so that GPhoto2Server will be always running. If it happens to crash, it will restart automatically. If you turn your Raspberry Pi off and on, sorry. When you turn it on, it will start up automatically. So this will give you, again, the mobile rig, which you can use this little case, this little box for the Raspberry Pi, connected to the power battery, and I'm using just this particular one, but you can have a smaller one because this suffices for quite a while. You might not even need that much, and you just plug your camera into that, and you have your wirelessly controlled camera and the time-lapse rig right there. So without further ado, let's take a look at how we do it. So first and first, of course, is when you have an SD card, you have to install a Raspbian operating system onto it, and there are a ton of tutorials on how to do that. I'm going to show the screen and show you how I do it, but there are a ton of different tutorials, and it really doesn't matter which way you take in order to install it. I will show you one way, but if you use another way, go ahead. As long as you get things done, as long as you get the Raspbian, preferably the latest version of it, onto the SD card. A second thing that we will want to do is, once we get this and put the SD card in the Raspberry Pi, we need to install the libgphoto2, the dependency of GPhoto2Server. We need to put the GPhoto2Server itself in there, which is a very simple step. It's the simplest step among all of them, I guess. And then what we also need to do is to turn it into a Wi-Fi access point, so it would have its own Wi-Fi network, which you could connect to with your smartphone. And there are a lot of tutorials on how to do that. Well, maybe not a lot of, but there are official tutorials, if you can say so, on the... Not sure if they're really official, but anyway, official for the Adafruit company that produces a lot of stuff for the Raspberry Pi. They have a tutorial on how to turn it to access point. So you can follow the Adafruit tutorial, or you can do what I will show you what I do. I'm basically following the same tutorial. I'm just skipping some of the things because this tutorial teaches you how to convert a Raspberry Pi, not necessarily a Pi Zero like this one. Maybe you will have a bigger, the Model B, for instance, that have the Ethernet port, and it teaches you how to convert it into access point, where by access point they mean that it basically replaces a Wi-Fi router. You can plug in the wired connection, which has the internet, so you have an Ethernet port where you plug in your Ethernet cable, a cable like that with an RJ45 connector. You will plug it in to your Raspberry Pi, and what it will do, it will share the internet. If this cable actually is connected somewhere to the internet, if it is going to work like as an uplink, basically, it will share it over the wireless network. So you connect to a wireless network and you have your internet access. So that's what the access point is, and it basically, yeah, it's a wireless router. So you can turn your Raspberry Pi into a wireless router, but I don't need that in this scenario. So what do I need? If it is that the Raspberry Pi would have its own Wi-Fi network, but that's about it. I don't need it to have also another network on the wired, on the Ethernet port. I don't even have an Ethernet port in Pi 0. You can plug one in via the adapter into the USB, but I'm not going to do that. I need this USB port for the camera. And so I can skip those steps, which are related to, passing through the network, the internet, from Ethernet port into the wireless network. So it's a couple of extra steps that you have to do to actually properly configure this routing, which can be skipped, and we will skip them. So without further ado, let's start implementing this plan. Oh yeah, and the last but not least will be the step to make the GPhoto2Server run as a service on the Raspberry Pi, so that the service is automatically started up on the Raspberry Pi startup. It's automatically restarted with crashes, that sort of thing. So putting the Raspbian onto the SD card, and to do that we go to the raspberrypi.org. So if you look at this, we go to the raspberrypi.org, we go to downloads, we have a Raspbian here, and we have like Raspbian booster with desktop and recommended software with just desktop and light version. I've downloaded the full one, but you can choose the light one as well. It will all work. It's already downloading. And the second thing that I'm going to do, I'm doing this on a Mac, so I recommend for Mac using this Balena.io. They have this Balena Etcher, and this is the software. They also have it for Windows, so you can try it on Windows as well. And I'm going to do that on a Mac. And this is a software that allows you to put the image of the Raspbian onto your SD card in just 2 clicks, basically. So it's as simple as it's shown on this diagram, so to speak. So let's wait for it to download, and then we'll actually put the Raspbian onto an SD card. We finished downloading Balena Etcher and the Raspbian, and I've already started the Balena Etcher. I've inserted my SD card into a SD card reader, and it's shown up in here. I can choose a different disk. You should be sure that you selected your SD card, so you wouldn't erase something you shouldn't be erasing. This is a 32 gig SD card, so I can see that's the one, and the Balena Etcher makes a really good job detecting which of the drives that you have is an SD card and which isn't. I also have the Raspbian downloaded here, so I'm going to press this button. I actually have right there, so I'm going to put the Finder, drag it from a Finder right here. You can just drag it, or you can click change it. It will allow you to select the file, but anyway, that's the easiest part. To do this, I need to type my password in here really quickly, and yep, it's flashing. So it'll take a while because the full image is a bit big, 2.5 gigabytes in a zip archive, and it's around 4 gigabytes unarchived, but let's just give it some time to finish. Okay, so we're starting up our Raspberry Pi from the SD card now, and the first boot might take a while because it's supposed to do stuff like resize file system. I don't know if it's doing it already, but it's going to initialize a bunch of stuff, and resizing file system is because we have the image of SD card that's around 4 gigabytes of size unzipped, but the SD card itself is 32 gigabytes, so it has a bunch of free space, and in order to make the operating system, the Raspbian, see this free space, the file system resize is supposed to be happening. So let's wait for it to boot. We actually chosen a full desktop version, which is running the LXDE shell, I guess, the graphical UI. So it takes a while to boot up on the start, especially on the Pi 0, which is a weaker kind of machine. So yeah, here we go. You have the graphical interface there. You can choose the language and the country there, and I don't recommend using the United Kingdom, the default one, because the UK keyboard layout puts tilde in the funny places, and tilde is an important key to have because in the Unix terminal it's an alias to your home directory basically. So you can choose any country you want, but I'm going to choose Ukraine there because that's where I live, because I want to have my time zone. I will actually use English language, but and US keyboard layout, but I would like to have my own time zone. So while this is happening, it takes quite a while to apply for some unknown reason. Let's open a terminal and type in sudo space raspi-config. That's the configuration utility that I normally use to set up the Raspberry Pi. They probably in this GUI versions have something graphical for that, but if you will be using the version without the graphical interface, you should just type it in a terminal: sudo space raspi-config. So this is a utility that allows you to configure stuff about your Raspberry Pi and expand the file system. Let's not run it though while this configuration is happening, because this utility allows you to do also to change the keyboard layout, but you shouldn't have two utilities doing both of those at the same time. Whoops, I didn't meant to click that. I want to reboot. I just wanted to increase the font size so you could actually see what I'm typing, and let me find where that is. I can probably go to the preferences and change the font, or oh, there is a zoom in. This is a bit slow. Here's the font. Anyway, yeah, it's also asking me to change the default password for the Raspberry user, for the Pi user, sorry, to something different than the default password of Raspberry. I don't know, let's just for now probably keep it Raspberry, but you can change to whatever you want as long as you remember your password, because that's important, guys, to remember your password. Okay, and expand the file system. Yeah, it asks us to update, so we definitely should update normally, but right now I'm not going to do that. I just enable the SSH and I will then do all of that over the SSH. So, sorry, that's the wrong section. You go to interface and options, and there you have SSH, and you say enable yes. So that enables the SSH. It takes a while to apply. And now let's also expand the file system, just in case it didn't do it yet. And now that it's done, let's reboot our Raspberry Pi and SSH into it, because I don't want to be connecting my monitor to it. Okay guys, so I've successfully installed Raspbian on my Raspberry Pi, enabled SSH on it, and I'm going to SSH into my Raspberry Pi. And yeah, I would have to edit this known hosts file a little bit, because I already have that address reserved for a different file. I mean, for a different machine. So let's do it actually right way. So it's going to ask me to remember it. I'm going to enter the password, and finally we're in. So we are in the Raspberry Pi, in the command line of the Raspberry Pi, which we've entered via the SSH. So now we're going to do everything we could normally do on the Raspberry Pi itself. It's just I have a convenience of being able to copy and paste from my browser into the command line there. So if I go to GitHub MVMN, I have this GPhoto2Server repository, or if you can't find it in the overview, you go to the repositories, you type in GPhoto2Server, and it's right there. So here you have the GPhoto2Server, and you can get it the latest version, the latest release from here. So you just copy the link and you type something like, let's go to downloads, cd downloads. This means change directory, and this tilde symbol means your home directory. Anyway, yeah, that's not the right command. pwd, it means print current directory, which is we are in home by downloads, and we use wget to download this. Wait, I just copied that. I meant to copy this link. So we can use wget to download GPhoto2Server zip. So it's printing out a bunch of uninteresting data, and then it downloads the file. What we need there is also we need to have a Java, because Raspberry GPhoto2Server is written in Java. We already have one apparently. We have it, but it doesn't work. So they broke it on the Raspbian. That's a surprise, because I've just downloaded the existing Raspbian. Let's do it like that. Let's install Open Jdk version 8, and this is supposed to be to fix our Java problem, which is a new problem, by the way. I haven't encountered that previously. Usually when you just set up Raspbian, it has Java out of the box. That's kind of weird. Or maybe I just need to upgrade my Raspbian, because I haven't done that. And yeah, and Open Jdk 8 is not the right way. Let's do the upgrade first. This will take a while and will require your Raspberry Pi to restart, possibly. But that's something you have to do the very first time you set up Raspberry Pi. And if you remember, there was actually a graphical wizard window which asked us to upgrade right away when we first boot into Raspberry Pi. But I skipped that because I wanted to enable SSH and be able to get in here. But now we'll just have to wait for this to complete. So while this is happening, let's take a look at the GitHub page for the GPhoto2Server. So again, when you go to the GitHub environment, which is my account, and you look at the repositories, you can find this GP2SRV repository. And in this repository, you go into the releases. And this is where, it asks you if you really want to upgrade all this stuff and use an extra disk space, and I do. So you put a capital Y, which means yes, and it proceeds to do so. So you have the releases, and you have a bunch of releases, but always just take the latest one, and you have the zip file with the release. Don't bother taking the source code unless you really know what you're doing, and it's better to take a source code. Probably just clone the repository instead of downloading the zip as the source code. But anyway, so once you get that, you also can go to the project page here. It tells us it depends on the libgphoto2, and to do this, to install this libgphoto2, there is a GPhoto2 updater, but I'm kinda surprised I didn't link to that from here. Let me take a look if I linked it from some other place. No. Oh yeah, I did link to it, but only here in the notes to the version 1.0 before 1.0. That's an omission, sorry. So yeah, you have to go to this repo as well, and run this GPhoto2 updater. It's very simple. You just have a command here which you should execute, but first of course this whole update should complete, and then you will execute this thing. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger so you can see this long command. It also uses wget to download this updater script. Chmod +x means it makes this file executable, marks this file as an executable, and then it executes it with the root permissions. Of course, yeah, that's not very safe, but you just have your new clean Raspberry Pi set up from scratch. So what what can it do to you? You don't have anything important there, and you will not have anything important there if you use it like I do for the photos. So yeah, you will just have to trust this guy with his GPhoto2 updater, but I do. So let's wait for this to complete, and then we'll run the GPhoto2 updater, but of course first we'll check if our Java problem is fixed. Okay guys, so the update has completed, but it did not solve our Java problem. So if you look at this, I'm running the Java ---- version, it's giving me this error. So what I did, I just Googled up what people do, and people just install Open Jdk like I tried, but they just have a proper command to do this here. They have like Open Jdk GRE, which stands for Java Runtime Environment Headless, and the normal one, Open Jdk GRE. So I've just run this with sudo though. Sudo apt-get install OpenJDK GRE headless OpenJDK GRE, and now if I run Java ---- version, I still have the same error because it's probably using the wrong Java. So it uses this one, and I want the one installed from the from the OpenJDK. So if I look here, we have Java. Come on, completed. So should be a single version though. Yeah, like that. And this one, of course, doesn't work. So I want this Java to be in my path. It might be I need to restart actually after I do update alternatives. Well, I forgot how to use it. As soon as you can tell, use this update alternatives command to tell it which one of the Javas do you want to use. I have the Java installed in here, which is probably Java 9, apparently people say, and let's see where does this lead to. In Java, because I don't think it's a binary file. It's of course, yeah, it's a symlink that links to an alternatives Java. And this links to, oh, it's actually GTK 11. You should use Java 8. Long story short, so let's see. Update alternatives Java. How do I actually do this? Update Java alternatives. No, I don't think I have that, but let's try. Oh, I actually have update Java alternatives. So I have those two alternatives, so I want to use this one, the Java 8 one. Sure, sudo. Yep. So that's how we fix Java. We should have still updated and upgraded all the packages, so and that's a good thing to do, but one thing to keep in mind: if you are going to use this Raspbian only for GPhoto2Server, you don't need desktop and the software, and update and upgrade will be much faster if you don't take the desktop version of Raspbian and with all the software, because you're going to, update all the software as well. So when you go to Raspbian downloads, maybe go for this light one, Raspbian Buster Lite. Just make sure to install, this OpenJDK 8 in Java. And one workaround also for slow execution of commands like those upgrades is just get a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4 and put the SD card in there, do all those upgrades first in there, and then switch the SD card into your Pi 0. That supposedly should work, and it should give you everything updated, but it just will happen faster on the more powerful Raspberry Pi. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, I want to this GPhoto2 updater, and run this command to install the libgphoto2, and it also installs the command line GPhoto2 utility. It's not needed anymore, but you can let it be. The thing we want is this libgphoto. So it asks us to install a development version or a stable release. Just choose the stable release because we don't need the development version. We want the stable one. And this command is again going to take a while. And like I said, if you have like a more powerful Raspberry Pi, you could probably put the SD card in that one, run this command on that Raspberry Pi, so it would complete quicker. And then when you're done with everything, then switch to your Pi Zero. Okay, let's wait for this update to complete. Okay guys, it took a while, but the GPhoto2 updater has installed the GPhoto2 and also the libgphoto2, which is used by that. So we're done with that, but what's left here? The things that are left is to actually have the GPhoto2Server running as a service in the background, so it would be automatically started and restarted, and then making a Wi-Fi access point out of our Raspberry Pi. So what I'm going to do here first is unzip the zip archive of the GPhoto2Server from the terminal using the unzip command. It's very simple, but you can also do this if you wish to do so through the graphical user interface. So now I have this folder. Let's actually move it. Where would I put it? You know what? I will install Midnight Commander because that makes this whole thing easier, simpler to do and to show what I'm doing. If you don't know what Midnight Commander is, it's a pseudographical text mode, pseudographical utility for navigating file system and performing various manipulations on file, like copying, moving, deleting, and many more operations. So I'm kind of used to this commander-like utilities since the MS-DOS times, so I'll install that because I want to remind myself how to move stuff around in the terminal. So I'm going to create a folder here to make their directory. It's a prog, which stands for programs, and then rename and move. So I moved this GPhoto2Server in here, and we already have a run sh command here. If you click on view, you can see what's in that. It just says Java jar. So that's how easy it is to execute GPhoto2Server. You just type Java -jar, but you have to be in that folder. GPhoto2Server sh. So that's what. Oh yeah, it doesn't have the line break in the end of the line, but no, it doesn't matter. So if you run it, you get some log output there from the Jetty server, which is starting on. So it says, okay, the server started, and it runs on the port 8080 by default. So the GPhoto2Server is running. That's what's happening if you call the run sh, or if you manually type the Java and the jar, and then you can actually use the full pass prog like that. This is something that you actually should use if you don't want to go into this particular directory before you execute this command. So yeah, that's the way to run GPhoto2Server. But now we want to create a service out of that. And how do we do that? There's a thing called initd, initialization daemon, basically. So they have called the services in the Linux daemons. So I don't know why, but that's kind of the name for services that run in the background. Sorry, that's actual systemd, right? Example, if you Google that, shell hacks, yeah. So this is an example of such file. It says unit exec start, and you type in the command that you want, and install you will say wanted by multi-user target. So the config file I did for that looked like this, and it was had to go into the lib systemd system. Sorry, and you have a bunch of services here, so let's create our own. Let's call it Nano is the text editor for terminal SRV, and you have to call it .service. So, and what you should put in there is this section unit, in which you say description GPhoto2Server after multi user.target. So this after should be capitalized properly, so everything should match exactly when you type this file in. And then type service. Same about those section names, like you have a section service and it has to be named like that. I'll type idle exec start, and you have to put this command. Also, it's better to actually put a full path to the Java. So I can't save it because I don't have a permissions. So let's save it into home py. Yep. So the file will be there. We will move it using the sudo later, because you don't have a permission to write here by default, apparently, which makes sense actually. So let's see, well, we do it like this. You see that, I don't know, maybe there's a better way to do this, and somebody will, oh yeah, definitely not going to work like that twice. But anyway, where was that Java Open Jdk 8? Oh yeah, no, I remember now, it wasn't here. So that's what I want to put. So this is, by the way, the tilde, remember, it's about your home directory, and that's why I put the file. So instead of just typing Java, let's give it a full path to make sure it's going to work wherever its working directory will be, and whatever the path will be, because I'm not sure what that is. It's going to be restart always. This command will tell us to just always restart. Okay, and install wanted by, and we put the same multi-user target here as well. So this is what it should be like. So let's move that file from home py, if it's a service in here. So the file is here, and now what we want to do is what was this shell hacks? They tell you to change permissions for that file. Because it takes a specific permissions, and then you do this daemon reload. And now you should be able to do start, stop, and restart. But this should be a way to check whether it's running. Or should I be GPhoto2Server as in the description? No. So it's not going to start by itself until I reboot, I guess, or unless I start it manually. So let's start it manually. Oh, sorry, missed the start command. So you do sudo, means do as admin, systemctl start, and then you give it a name of a service you want to start. And then you do the same sudo systemctl status and the name of a service. Because yep, it's active, it's running, and it shows you the log lines that it has produced. So it's starting up, starting server down, the port is 8080. This 4 zeros is just the IP address, but 4 zeros means it's going to run on any, listen on any IP address that this Raspberry Pi has, because it can't have, you know, Ethernet wired one and then the Wi-Fi, and it will have two different IP addresses there, but it will be listening on both. So wherever you connect. So now we just converted our GPhoto2Server into a service. Let's do restart just to check whether this service is going to be running after the Raspberry Pi will reboot. And Raspberry Pi is rebooting, and that's why the terminal is not responding. So let's SSH into it again. When it boots up, I'm looking at the light at the Raspberry Pi, and it's still flashing, so it's probably not completely booting up yet. Let's give it a bit. Come on, come on. And while it's doing so, let's look at the last part of what has to be done. This is the raspberrypi.org, and they have an article how to convert a Raspberry Pi into an access point. So it's not on the Adafruit website like I said initially, so sorry about that, but I guess it doesn't matter really where the tutorial is. Let me close this one. So that's what we need to do. We need to install the DNS mask and hostapd. Hostapd is the one to make an access point, host access point daemon, and DNS mask. I'm not even sure if I need that. It's for the DHCP server, right? Yeah. So what's the DHCP server? It's a server that provides IP addresses to whoever connects to it. So when your Raspberry Pi is working as a router, when you connect to it, you need for it to give you an IP address. So that's what this hostapd, DNS mask is for. So we'll need to install both of those. Okay, so the Raspberry Pi has been restarted. I SSH'd into it again, and I'm going to just repeat. Oh, it doesn't remember what I did. So anyway, systemctl status of GPhoto2Server, and it's dead. Even though it's disabled. I'm sorry. I have to do this first, as far as I remember. Then it's going to run automatically. It's dead, but it's enabled. But it's dead because I didn't start it, but why doesn't it remember the history? But anyway. Let's restart one more time. Yeah, sorry about that. But this time I'm almost 100% certain that it's going to work. Okay, so in this tutorial you can probably do everything that says in here yourself, or we can do it together now. It has this part where they're configuring the shared internet connection, the bridge. So this part can't be skipped. They have the bridge utils, install hostapd, like they didn't just install it in the very beginning. Like seriously guys, they already have the hostapd in here. Well, whatever. Just remind you that you have to install it. And they configure in those bridge utils. We don't need that if we don't really, want to turn it into a real access point. We need this part though. Oh, they're changing the driver into the bridge. Now we don't have to do that. They already have this on top. This is the configuration for your wireless access point. Okay. And finally, let's see if the GPhoto2Server is running. And it is running. So as you saw, we just restarted Raspberry Pi, and GPhoto2Server has automatically started. And I don't know if it's not outputting more than those log lines, or it's still booting up. Actually, it's in the progress of starting. So yeah, now it's started up. And if I check the IP address of this Raspberry Pi. It's running on this address locally for me, so while it's not running as access point, I need to know its IP address, figure out it like that, and I'm going to go and connect there to the GPhoto2Server that's running on the Raspberry Pi. And I could choose a camera. I don't have camera plugged into it yet, so that's why I don't have any choice here, but it's working. So the last thing we need to do is this, and let's do it then. So install DNS mask and hostpd. We should stop them both, because apparently they start immediately after installation. This takes a bit. I actually have a progress indicator now for the apt install, right? So it's even better than apt-get. I guess I should be using it. I'm just, repeating all the old stuff I've learned, but I should keep up with this time. But anyway, we need to give it a static IP address, which don't know why they chose this, but 4.1. Well, anything would work as soon as this is the only thing you're going to be connecting to, so you probably don't care what the ranges of the IP addresses it would be on. So 192 and 168, these are the beginning of the local IP address ranges, and inside it you have freedom, and I'm going to run all the stop commands now. Both of them on this end means that if this succeeds, then run this one. So it's all done. We go into RCPD. And what we want to do here, we wanted to put this for the WLAN. Okay, let's use actually 1.1. That's more what I'm used to. Like why when I use 4.1. Anyway, CPD domain restart. I'm not going to start the DHCP server right now, because that might confuse. Actually, let's do it. I don't know what do they mean by reset the daemon and set up new WLAN 0 configuration. It doesn't ask me to do anything, but okay. So they moved DNS mask config to the backup file called .orig, which means original, I guess. And then you added the DNS mask config and put here your stuff. Interface WLAN 0, DHCP range. Let's correct this to what I changed, because I want the one. Why should it end at 20? Let's end at 150 actually. I don't know. So reload DNS mask. I've stopped it. So when I say reload, it says it's not running. Okay. Or is it not enabled? It is enabled, it's just not running. What if I start it and then reload it? It's probably stupid to reload it if I'm running it, because it's, if I've just started it, I mean, it reread the config. I'm not sure. This manual is not perfect. I guess they might be missing some steps there. So I have a host IPD config, and it says this 5 GHz brand. You can change the operations, but I'm using the built-in into the Pi 0. So as far as I remember, this one worked for the Pi 0. So let's wait, what did I put there? I have a passphrase, and then I have SSID name of network. Let's call it GPhoto2Server Pi, right? And then the passphrase, something like that. Yeah, so keeps it simple. So daemon ops, they have daemon conf here. Let's put it in here, host apd, and then I start all that stuff. Unmask, I don't actually know what that does, but I'll trust those people who wrote this. They know what they're doing. Okay, so the things that are happening later, the routing is not something that I need, because again, I don't want to make it into a real access point. So host apd is running, and DNS mask is running. So let's see, do I have a Wi-Fi network called GPhoto2Server Pi? Yes, I do. So let me disconnect from here. Let me disconnect my Ethernet cord from Raspberry Pi. And let me connect to that Wi-Fi network then. And the password was Raspberry. And it should give me an IP address. Please. There's no IP address yet, but oh yeah, now I got one IP address. And if you look at your internet settings there, it says that your router is 1.1. You remember that was what we configured earlier in wherever that was. Anyway, so if we do SSH pi to that IP address, yep, it's there. It's the same Raspberry Pi, right? So, and if I don't actually have to SSH into it anymore. The point is, I can go to that IP address, always just the same, 192.168.1.1, and to port 8080, and I will have my GPhoto2Server running there. And let me actually connect the camera now. Give me a moment. Didn't put the batteries in the camera. Do it right now. And the point is, we're basically done. This baby is ready to be taken outside and to the time-lapse filming. Yeah, I felt to put the batteries in flat enough. And the cable, because still using the mini USB. In this day and age, I have the EOS 80D, and it's using the mini USB connector. In the year 2020. In the year 2020, we're still using the mini USB. Who could have thought? Right, but good news. Alright, good news and there. Status. What's the matter? How do I see those logs for that was like journal CTL? It's not long enough. What exactly is wrong so that it doesn't want to connect? That's always interesting to see how things fail. Yeah, so this is the whole journal CTL and contains a lot of nonsense. And I'm not interested in how would I actually see those outputs of. Actually, let's do it like that. Let's systemctl stop GPhoto2Server. We'll stop it for now, and we'll just go into prog GPhoto2Server and run it from here. So let's see the console output right here. So I won't have to look for it because I could Google the journal CTL command for that, but I don't want to spend time on this right now. So if I'm going to go here again and choose the camera, let's say IO USB claim. The USB is busy with something. I'll have to Google that error, but apparently that the camera is already being used by something. What could be using the camera? In the macOS they had a PTP service or something like that, but on the Raspberry Pi that's the first time I see somebody is occupying the USB. They are not giving me the access to it to get the camera. Not me actually, the GPhoto2 library, but anyway. I run the GPhoto2 and what was it for the list of the cameras? I claim the USB device. Couldn't claim the USB device or it was busy. How was the program GPFS GPhoto2 volume monitor kernel module using device and you have read-write access to the device. Right. Do I need to run it as root actually? I might need to be able to run it, not be able to actually specify this to run as root. Otherwise, it might not have the permission to get the USB device, and I forgot about that. Nope, that's not it. And the server should be running as root, shouldn't it? So what do you say? GPFS, GPhoto2. Yeah, this stuff is running already. But why? Who asked me? Is that one? No, not list. How do I tell it to? Ooh, it actually has this nice way of showing me all the services it has. But I need this GVF. Yeah, how do I disable this? And GVFS volume monitor. GVFSD. What? Where does this stuff come from? This virtual file system designed. Okay, virtual file systems, but I specifically don't need this thing to be running. GPhoto2 volume monitor. And why is it running? I'm not sure. No, didn't I just tell me it was there? The monitor was the PID. That's this process ID, right? 709. Yeah, it's the PID. PID stands for process ID. So I can kill it, but it's... Yeah, now it's not running, but who started it? I'm supposed it might be running as one of the services as well. Oh, sorry, I stopped. So I might need to find out how it's starting up and disable it. Otherwise, it's going to be starting up all of the time, and it's going to prevent your GPhoto2Server from being able to get the camera, because this GPhoto2 monitor is already mounting the camera as a file system, probably to allow you to get the stuff from the SD card right away. But okay, so now that I've stopped that process and it doesn't take control over the camera, and let me unscrew the duck lens here so I have the dark. So this is the camera, that's what it's seeing in the live view. And this whole thing is working, so we're basically done. As long as as we figure out this extra problem that we have now with yeah, I've turned my camera off too fast. Anyway, before I find out how to stop this stuff. So, but this is just a matter of googling it, right? Yeah, that's not very helpful. Disable, yeah. People are looking for that. Is this one of the servers? Okay, let's do this. Systemctl disable. There is no such service, so where is it coming from then? They use the .service there. That's kind of weird. I don't think I need to put the .service in there. It's smart enough to do that for me. Yeah, but since it doesn't exist, but they also use the user command, so it might be not the system one, but the user one level. Apparently not. What is this, by the way? This is like, oh yeah, it's the command. Guys, but do you actually know what starts the this monitor? And it started as a user pi, so It must be some of the services, I'm guessing. Let's do it again with the system CTL GPho. Nope. Wait, where's the list? There must be something like L, yeah. No, it's not there. That's kind of weird. So they're all in here. What if I change it to be not executable? Maybe this GVFS just executes everything that's in this folder. Because I'm not familiar with the way this GVFS is working. But I'm having a guess that, you know, if you place something into this directory, it's going to execute it and pick it up automatically. This is some sort of convention. So, okay, enough. This is directory. These files are no longer executable. Now let's reboot one more time and see that everything is working properly after reboot. At least I'm expecting that. The Wi-Fi went off because, yeah, the Raspberry Pi is rebooting. And this was our Wi-Fi access point. Let's wait for the Wi-Fi to come back. That might take a while. Come on, come on. Yeah, this turned out to be a little bit harder than I thought because we had two unexpected complications. Java didn't work out of the box, which is very sad. I'm seeing the Raspbian from an official source. I downloaded the Raspbian and it has the broken Java in it. That's kind of weird. And the Java 11 is supposed to be working. It's I'm guessing it's actually working right on the other Raspberry Pi models, just not on the Pi Zero. But Pi Zero is official Raspberry Pi model. It's not some Chinese clone or something. So why would you have something that's broken on a Pi Zero there? And yep, that did the trick. So those GVFS modules are not running. And if I do the systemctl status for the GPhoto2Server, let me just type it because it is running. So if I actually, again, if I go to GPhoto2Server on 8080, it should be running. Let me turn my camera on. Refresh the page. Yeah, the camera is there. I just select and it's working. I go to the camera, click on the live view. That's it. Yeah, that's my ceiling. And this is the monitor. So finally, we're fully done here. Everything's working. We had two complications again. We had the complication with Java. That is fixed very easily by just running apt-get install Java GRE 8 Open Jdk. And why does it disconnect not work? Disconnect timed out. Okay, well, that's something probably wrong with the libgphoto2. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's working. The disconnect is not the most important functionality. And the other complication we had was that installing GPhoto2 through the GPhoto2 updater also installs this GNOME virtual file system modules. So it probably allows you to browse, your camera as a virtual file system. So you connect your camera and it allows you to browse the pictures on it, on whatever you have there. But this also prevents the GPhoto2Server from connecting to the camera. So we had to disable them by issuing this command sudo chmod, which means sudo means do as admin, chmod means change file attribute, -x means remove the execute attribute. And from this file, GVFS GPhoto2 volume monitor, and also I did the same for GVFS GPhoto2 daemon. GVFS GPhoto2 D stands for daemon. So I've disabled those two, and when I did the list of this directory, I see that those two are in gray color, while the executable ones, the ones that still have the exec attribute, are green. And restarted. That's all I did. So now we're done. So thanks for being with me, and hope this helps you to set up your own GPhoto2Server time-lapse camera control rig. Thank you. Goodbye.